The clip you're about to watch came from the Payo Time and Rams House show. We discuss the Rams with you guys live every Friday night, and if you guys would like to join us, we'd love to see you there. Our Over Rams action segment here, and if you guys are new to this, it's basically a spinoff of the Overreaction Monday podcast that Chris Brockman and Rich Eisen do, but it's only about the Rams, which makes it all the better. So I'll be pitching some hot takes potentially to Payo Time here, also you guys in the chat. You guys are going to react if that is a fair take or if it's an Over Rams action. Pretty simple stuff, right? So to set this one up here, the first one that we have, if you guys watched my collaboration with Engraven, he talked about the fact that every time that the Ravens play against Davante Adams goes off. Whatever the case may be, it's just a bad matchup for the Ravens. So my question to all of you, is this an Over Rams action to say this will be Davante Adams' breakout game as a Ram?
Are we sure he didn't already have that?
I'm talking like the world
big...
will know Davante Adams is on the Rams. Like this could be a big game kind of thing.
Okay, because the world doesn't already know that.
Yeah. Well, you know, because we keep seeing Puka Nacua leading in that, and everybody's talking about Puka Nacua, but after this game, people are going to be like, man, like Davante Adams? Like, who's going to be able to guard this guy? That's kind of where I'm going with this one.
You know what? I watched your collab with Engraven, and when he said that, I was like, oh, that's really cool. I didn't know that. I would love that to be the case. And for players like Davante Adams who have these long, productive careers, they have those teams they just do really well against. I totally think this could be one of those games where Ravens fans are like, oh, no, it's Davante again. So, yeah, I don't think that's an Over Rams action. I totally could see this being a big breakout game, like, you know, 2 touchdowns, over 100 yards. Let's go, Davante.
Oh, yeah. We'd love to see that because Davante Adams has shown his flashes with the Rams. Their connection, like Stafford and Davante, isn't still all the way there yet, so there's more to come. But we got different reactions in the comments here. We got Deuce Falco. He says, that sounds fair, ... And then we got another person saying, in inclement weather, I say nah. That's the only thing that I could see potentially derailing this is if we get some really bad weather in this game. Maybe that doesn't make us pass the ball as well. But like I mentioned earlier, I still think the Rams will be able to pass the ball really well. So definitely food for thought there. I'm excited for Davante Adams to see, just because, like you mentioned, we have seen him do well with the Rams. He's made his plays. It feels like he's a guy that comes up in the biggest moments for the Rams. But I don't think we've had that game yet where it's like you're just seeing Davante Adams highlights all across like the NFL social media page, like that kind of, wow, this is real Davante Adams is a Ram kind of thing. Yeah. So I think it's going to be interesting to track for sure.
It seems like everyone in the chat, like Tony here, is saying not an overreaction. All right, we're on the same page here.
We talked about the potential of Rams blowouts and how this is a Rams team that just plays close games, and that's their identity. But we know the Ravens defense is not that great. Coming numbers-wise, they're beat up and all of that. This will be in the rain, so take that with a grain of salt. Okay. But I'm saying the Rams will win by 10 or more versus Baltimore.
I'm probably the worst Rams YouTuber for you to do this question to. And I'm not one of those people that feels you have to blow teams out, but I want it. I want it so bad. One game. That's all I ask for is one game where the Rams actually blow out their opponent. The Ravens are, you know what? If it wasn't an inclement weather game, I would say yes. This is not it's not an overreaction. I think it's going to be a close game. I'm prepared to have my heart race, my heartbeat race to no content. I've accepted until the Rams actually show me they can blow out a team. I think that's an over Rams action.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. As they say, it is the NFL. So if you blow a team out or if you win by 2 points, it counts the same.
Yeah.
So we'll see what ends up happening. I think this has a chance to be a blowout game for the Rams and to really kickstart them. But who knows? Maybe the first one we see will be against the Saints, like you mentioned, after the bye week. Yeah. So let's see. This is a very interesting one. We have all heard the comments with Pat McAfee talking about how he thinks the Josh Carty knuckleball kicks, which have been very successful for the Rams, are affecting the actual like point after attempts or field goal tries.
That was really interesting. Yeah.
That was interesting. So my pitch to you, the Rams need to go away from the knuckleball kicks because it's hurting their kicking operation.
Ooh.
Over Rams action or fair?
I was not prepared to even. I hadn't even thought about that because I remember seeing McAfee talk about it and thought that was really interesting. But okay, and again, we're two guys on YouTube. We love football. We love the Rams, right? Is it so complicated to have a different kicking technique for kickoffs with the knuckleball and like kicking a field goal? Like I don't know, right? I do think in my head now that I'm thinking about this, if the knuckleball kick is actually affecting the Rams like scoreboard, absolutely get away from it, right? I do think if they keep doing the knuckleball, at some point the Rams are going to get a turnover off it. It has limited the starting field position for their opponent, but yeah, if it actually is affecting Joshua Carty's ability to party, yeah, get away from it. That's not an over Rams action.
Yeah, I think, man, it's such a hard thing because you have to acknowledge the success that they've had. And I love the fact that on a generic kickoff, the Rams can have a weapon at kicker. And they've legitimately had so many good field position games against teams because of that. And so I really don't want them to go away from that. But like you said, if this really is the reason that the failures in the kicking game is happening, is it really worth it to have people start further back in field position because you're going to mess up the actual kicking operation? To me, it's hard to tell because I think McVay alluded to the fact that there's multiple factors. He didn't downplay the fact when he was asked this week if knuckleballs could be affecting it. He acknowledged that and said that could be. But he also said that he doesn't think that's the only reason. And I tend to agree with him. I think there's a world that exists that the Rams can do those knuckleball kicks and still be a good field goal operation. Maybe there's some blame to put on Carty, but also the guys are penetrating so fast that even if he had a higher kick arc, would it even affect it at all? So I think it's something worth considering, but I don't know if we can really definitively say one way or another yet.
The other thing I'll just add to that is, let me ask you a question, because I had this conversation with another Rams fan. What do you think Joshua Carty's field goal range is?
I think that I would say the farthest I could see him going is probably like 58 to 60 yards.
Yeah. See, it's interesting, though, because you had to think about it. There's a lot of fans that they say like, oh yeah, he's good from like 60. He's good from there. I don't think we've actually ever seen Joshua Carty have to make, like, he's made some long kicks before, but like, and he was a rookie kicker last year, but like, I don't think we haven't had to see him make a massive long game-winning field goal like that's like 58 yards plus, right?
I just looked it up. Josh Carty's longest kick with the Rams is 58 yards on the dot, which was against Seattle in January of 2025.
Okay.
So, and his college longest is 61 yards for whatever that's worth. So,
okay.
I would say 58 to 60 would be like the max, but you don't want to put him in that situation every time, obviously.
Yeah.
So, definitely something interesting.
Interesting thought I had. Yeah.
Yeah. I think, man, I don't want to go away from the knuckleballs because they're working so well. It's like, if that really is the reason that our field goal operation isn't working, then obviously you probably have to go away from it. But I think there's a lot of different factors to where you could maybe get a workaround with it. But all right, we saw Terrance Ferguson versus the 49ers get his first big catch. What a catch that was on that fade ball. That was so exciting to watch. He's definitely been involved a lot in the Rams media in terms of like questions that the media is bringing up to the Rams coaching staff. So I'm going to say Terrance Ferguson will have 2 catches this week.
Who double his catches last week. Wow. Here, give me. You know what? I don't think that's an over Rams action. I think that Terrance Ferguson, I think we're done with the games of him being inactive. I think he's going to be there. And yeah, I think he will have at least 2 catches this week.
Yeah, I think, because I even think of the fact the Rams actually do like their tight end screens. And it's kind of interesting because this year I feel like we haven't really seen the tight end screen that much. And that used to be a big Higbee thing.
Yeah.
I know Colby Parkinson is questionable, which could elevate Terrance Ferguson to be able to have more opportunities. But for some reason, I feel like sometime soon we may see a tight end screen to Terrance Ferguson, just given the fact that he really is the most athletic tight end for the Rams. They always talk about how he's still learning, developing, and kind of raw at this point, which is why he hasn't gotten a lot of playing time. But I think if you give a guy with that much athleticism and talent that came out of college, I think if you give him one of those screen opportunities that's already 1 catch, like I don't think 2 catches should be that hard to be able to get. I think another thing, going back to that rain aspect of that, could the rain game kind of impact that and make them not pass out as much? We'll obviously see. But if we could see him double his production this week, even if it's just 2 catches, I'll take it.
Yeah. And I was listening to the Fantasy Footballers podcast the other day, and they said that Terrance Ferguson is a must-have on your team if you play in a dynasty league. And they gave some really good insight to they've talked to members of the Rams organization that they view him as a long-term development, pass catching tight end, there. And he's still a very, raw player, but I don't think him having 2 catches this week is crazy.
Yeah, totally. I definitely am not worried about his future with the Rams. I think a lot of people are getting kind of worried about that, given the fact he hasn't produced a lot, but the Rams have reassured us many times, no, he's still the guy that we thought that we were getting and more. But I think they came into it knowing that he wouldn't be ready right away. Yeah. And they were fine with that because we have good depth at tight end at the moment. But as far as the reactions in the chat, Deuce Falco says 2 catches, I agree. Porter says I agree with that, with a touchdown, which that would be exciting. Tony says 2 catches with one of them being a touchdown as well, so they're in agreement. And then Bruce says 2 catches, fair. So definitely think 2 catches shouldn't be that hard to get. Will it happen this weekend? We'll have to wait and see.
Tune in.
All right, we got our last over Rams action here.
I'm ready.
This one's pretty simple to say, but a lot harder to do. The Rams will hold Derrick Henry under 60 rushing yards this week.
Wow. That's not an over Rams action. The Rams have the Rams have dramatically improved their run defense. And say what you want about anything the Rams have done on defense, the one thing that we've seen dramatic improvement of this year, with signing Nate Landman, with signing Poona Ford, with the development of this young D-line. And I would actually even credit Quentin Lake and the safeties are getting involved in this too. Mm-hmm. They have locked down against the run, right? They had a really good game against Saquon Barkley. They had a really good game against Christian McCaffrey, Jonathan Taylor. And now they get Derrick Henry. And Derrick Henry, I think, part of this is he's had a down year, right? The Ravens in general have had a rough go to start the season. So yeah, I'm going to say that's not an over Rams action, because I also think if the Rams can get out, to a lead in this game and force the Ravens to throw it, that would also help with that.
That's definitely fair. We have Deuce Falco saying he thinks it's an over Rams action. He says the line is 74. I'll say over. So to all of you guys saying that, I'll just give you a friendly pushback here. Like Peotime mentioned, the Rams have done a lot better against rushing teams this year, really good running backs. They have made that improvement. But if you look at the stats this year for Derrick Henry, his first game was his best with 169 yards. But after that, he got 23 versus Cleveland, 50 versus Detroit, 42 versus the Chiefs, and 33 versus the Texans. So he's been under 60 yards in every single game since week 1. So this may sound outlandish, but this has been a theme, actually.
Ooh, wow. Okay, bringing up the stats. I love it. That's cool.
So
Wow.
we'll see what happens, but who knows? Maybe they'll have to lean more into their run game given the
Yeah.
fact that it's going to be rainy. But I don't think the Rams have given you any examples of the fact that they're a bad run defense this year. And they've been tested severely every single week, it feels like. I think the one that you can point to is against Jonathan Taylor and the Colts. Luckily, we had a holding call that called that one back.
Yeah.
That's the only case. And you've faced good enough running backs to where that may be happening more. And versus last year's run defense, that would be happening more. We'll see what happens, though.